すみません。ちょっと時間ありますか？
はい、どうぞ。
ありがとうございます。はじめまして、チョングクレイスと申します。
こんにちは。はじめまして。三菱 UFJ の人事部の海と申します。よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。現在、日本語を勉強していますので、ゆっくり話してもらえますか？
そうなんですね。もちろん大丈夫ですよ。
御社に興味があり、ちょっとお話聞きたいんですが。
ありがとうございます。では、こちらにお座りください。
はい、失礼します。
早速ですが、自己紹介お願いいたします。
はい。改めまして、チョング・グレイスと申します。出身はシンガポールで、現在トロントに住んでいます。現在、カナダの CIBC 銀行でディレクターしております。私の仕事は戦略的な計画とプロジェクト管理をしています。また、CIBC ウェルスマネジメントとプロジェクトのプロセスに携わっています。よろしくお願いします。
はい、よろしくお願いします。どのぐらいディレクターされてるんですか？
3ヶ月です。3ヶ月前、昇格しました。
おめでとうございます。では、以前はどのようなお仕事をされてたんですか？
はい。エンニアス大学後でビジネスディベロップメントとパートナーシップの仕事をシンガポールで4年間しておりました。その4年間でオイルとガス、シンガポール航空と、三菱モーターの3つの業界で働きました。その後、カナダのスコシア銀行で3年半シニアマネージャーとして働き、現在 CIBC 銀行でディレクターとして働いています。
そうなんですね。では次の質問ですが、学歴教えていただけますか？
はい、もちろん、2012年から2016年までシンガポールの NUS 大学で医学とビジネスの20専攻しました。医者になりたかったんですが、医学の道行くのをやめました。また、シンガポールで4年間働いた後で MBA のため2019年から2021年までユニバーシティトロントに行きました。
そうなんですね。どうして医学の道を辞めたか聞いてもいいですか？
ビジネスの授業の方が楽しかったので、これ以上勉強を続けたくなかったです。
そうなんですね。どのような学位お持ちですか？
医学の学士号と MBA の学位持ってます。
素晴らしいですね。現在トロントに住んでるってことですが、どうしてトロントに来たかったんですか？
エニュース大学の時、ずっと北アメリカで勉強したかったです。卒業後、就労ビザのため、アメリカで勉強したくなかったです。アメリカビザ取得はとってもややこしいので、カナダを選びました。
そうだったんですね。でも、とても日本語が上手ですが、何カ国語を話せるんですか？
ありがとうございます。3カ国語話せます。母国語は中国語で、英語がネイティブレベルで、日本語を勉強中です。
素晴らしいですね。ありがとうございました。質問は以上になります。
はい。もしよかったら、こちら私の履歴書です。お時間あるとき、目を閉じてもらえたら嬉しいです。
もちろんです。ありがとうございます。ではまた弊社で考慮した上で追ってご連絡させていただきます。
はい。本日お時間いただきありがとうございました。
こちらこそありがとうございました。Wow, excellent. I didn't expect that you really pronounced so quickly. And it just you finished the 12 session. It's one of the fastest result I can say from my 5,000 student experience. You should be proud of yourself.
Thank you so much.
So, first of all, welcome to my YouTube channel, Grace. How do you feel? And then congratulations on your progress.
Thank you so much. I felt that I learned a lot more, not even just from a vocabulary perspective, but also practicing the fluency. And I feel like I level up compared to my friends because I can really talk about my work, but at the same time, about why I study Japanese. I feel that I can express myself a little bit better.
Wow, that's amazing. What you actually expressed to me is including Keigo. So it's even more difficult than just a standard normal casual conversation.
Yeah.
So tell me about before visiting Japan Language Factory, what was your level? And also tell me like, what did you try before?
I used to watch a little bit of anime, but I noticed that that's not the best way to learn Japanese. So I signed myself up for a Japanese immersion school in Toronto. I started about 1 year ago and we started at N5, but I felt that every 2 months I was not progressing as fast as I would. And I think, I was slightly a bit more advanced than a couple of people in my class. So I think now I'm basic N5, going a little bit into N4. But I found that it's good practice. I think it's good foundationally, but I didn't really understand the benefits of asking me how the weather is today, what's the day today. Because I noticed Japanese people don't really talk about it. And so every lesson all the time, like I'm on a higher level now with the school, but we're still asking about the weather, right? So I wanted to be more casual. I want to have meaningful conversation. I wanted to gossip a little bit with my Japanese girlfriends. So that's why I decided to, come to JLF. And I've seen a lot of your videos. So I said, okay, I want to also be able to be fluent enough in, a shorter amount of time. And I have, I think, through the 12 lessons that I've been, now my conversations with my Japanese friends they actually really understand, why do you study Japanese? I can explain, my father used to speak Japanese and, this is what I want to do. This is my job. And they're pretty impressed.
Wow, that's amazing. As a native Japanese, how much I put it the effort of learning English grammar. And okay, when I meet people, like, what should I say? Like I need to really think about grammar. And I really actually felt this is something like not effective, even I put so much effort. So I think anybody actually facing this problem, but Grace, you actually, as a person, how many languages so far do you speak?
I speak now three. So English is my everyday language. I grew up learning Mandarin. So I think it's a little bit easier for me because I can read some kanji. And then now I feel a little bit better speaking Japanese.
Mm-hmm. Especially you can recognize kanji because you know Mandarin. What do you think? Because a lot of people actually start from even just the standard Western people who have no idea about kanji. They start from hiragana, katakana, kanji, and also grammar, vocabulary, and then hopefully one day they can speak something like that. It's a really traditional language learning. As your perspective, the kanji learning is gonna help the speaking, listening part. What do you think?
I think I understand the meaning when I look at some of the kanji, but I wouldn't know what the equivalent of is in Japanese, right? Like the word miru in Mandarin is jian, but it's different, right? But I know that word, that character means see. So I feel that I understand it a little bit easier. I think the writing is still something that bothers a lot of my friends and sometimes myself. But I feel like I have a little bit of advantage because I know how to write the strokes with shortcuts, right? Whereas for them, they really follow the strokes and it's really hard. But I have friends that focus more on kanji because in Japan, most things are in kanji. But I think I just look and try and understand what the Japanese saying is. And I'll be like, in my head, I can translate it all three ways.
Exactly. We have limited time. Me as a native Japanese, the spelling in English was very hard. Should I put that effort so many hours versus maybe should I improve my pronunciation when I meet? Like I don't want to pronounce it so wrong or I don't understand listening. So what do you think about this? The priority part.
I think speaking is very, very important for language. Even though I studied Mandarin and I studied a higher level of Mandarin, because it was so academic, it still doesn't come as naturally to me for Mandarin. If you put me in front of a Mandarin speaker, I still find it really hard to understand what they say. So with Japanese now, I want to be able to practice more conversation, which is where I found the benefit of joining JLF because it's very focused on speaking. And I know there's a lot of tonations, and that seems to be a problem for, a lot of people. I don't know, like chopsticks, hashi, and bridge is also hashi. So the tonation matters. And I think it's more effective if you're speaking, you're actively having a lot of inputs, Japanese inputs, whether is it listening to music, watching YouTube comedy, that's what I like to watch, Japanese movies, not so much anime. I watch anime now for fun, but I try not to because it's just different. Yeah, but speaking is a big, big piece.
Yeah, definitely. And especially Grace, you just did only 12 sessions. So people can't believe like you didn't do the grammar sessions and also you didn't focus on the reading, writing. We didn't use even flashcard. So, in Japan Language Factory, we focus on fully like muscle memory training. So we have so much actually interactive and repetition to really get used to it is with the muscle memory. So how you can describe if somebody actually tell you how you actually learn without the grammar exercises?
When Jiro-san writes out the sentence for me, I will ask her like, when do I use specific connecting words, right? I will still ask why this versus the other one, and she'll explain to me whether it's a more business way of saying, more formal. But right now, my focus was I wanted to do more Keigo because I have a specific goal, which is to speak to Japanese companies. But I have to keep practicing it because the structure is still slightly different. But I think practice in Japanese, not in English. I try not to look at the English because then your head will start to think like, okay, I know what comes first in the sentence, and then it will also translate automatically in your head.
Exactly. So always like I say, like if you want to be able to speak Japanese naturally, don't think about English. Even the sentences are totally opposite, and how you communicate is totally different. If you just translating in your head, it's always you speak like a robot. You really can't focus on the actual communication with the native, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing so many things. The one actually request I have to all the actually YouTube channel that is everybody actually joined here is people around you, like maybe in Singapore or in Canada. I'm sure some people are already interested, or like you already mentioned that they're working in Japan. If somebody is struggling, like Japanese language is very difficult language, or I'm a bit too old to start, what is going to be the best advice to them?
You have to speak to Japanese people. You have to keep talking and speaking because sitting there and studying vocabulary, you can't just say this is a kapu, this is a pasokon. Like there's no point in saying that, right? But you want to have actual conversations. You have to keep speaking to Japanese people and ask them how to say it in a certain way. If you are looking for a more formal way of saying, they also know how to speak Keigo, so you can ask them, right? But for me, it's putting yourself in uncomfortable situations where you are maybe surrounded really with only Japanese speaking, and you have to force yourself, unfortunately, to be in those situations because that's the only way you learn. So you'll pick up vocabulary along the way, but also how you actually put together a phrase. I don't think anyone is too old to pick up a language. Yes, some people learn faster than others, but age is not a factor. But you really need to put yourself in those situations that give you opportunity to listen or speak Japanese. Like that would be my advice.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for this
Oh
amazing
yeah,
advice.
and also join JLF.
True. If you think that it's too difficult, join JLF. You don't need
Yes,
to take a note. It's you 100% you can focus on the conversation.
yes, 100%. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, so Grace, it's this 12 session result is, as I mentioned, it's top 10 students out of the 5,000 students. This actual result was really, really excellent. So I'm really, really excited to see how you're going to be after 30 sessions. Yeah.
ありがとうございます。嬉しいです。